So what's going on, guys? OGR here, and yes, he stepped off camera for a little bit, but I do have Heartstorm Media with me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sports Reaction. So quick shout out to Big Blue Jabroni, MH, the Sports Reaction, a guy I'll be working with tomorrow, live for UFC 251, which I'm excited about. I don't know about you. And then, I'll be live with him Monday as well, and then I'm having a Giants Roundtable. And why have you here? Would you like to be a part of a Giants Roundtable Sunday night? I don't know if you're busy, but it's going to be me, Kid Blue, and the Hub.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I love that. I just caught their live a couple of nights ago.
Huh?
I just caught their live a couple of nights ago. The Hub and Kid Blue, they were on. I got to find out how they're Madden. They're supposed to be playing each other in Madden. Kid Blue was talking mad trash.
Yeah.
He said he's never lost a match live on Madden.
That's awesome. But can you make it for Sunday night? I'll work out the details with you off camera, but
yeah,
if you can make it, that'd be awesome.
I'll be watching. Yeah.
No. Do you want to join in?
Oh, you want to have me? Oh, yeah. I'm game for that.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, this is obviously Heartstorm Media, a guy I've been really excited to work with. So, Heartstorm, tell us a little bit about the channel. I know you're a huge Giants fan, but you cover more than just Giants on your channel. So, take it away.
What we do at Heartstorm Media is Heartstorm Media started off as a social media marketing strategy business. I operate a lot on Instagram and on YouTube. But then I operate a lot on Instagram and Facebook, and then I got into YouTube and started learning more about YouTube. So when I started doing my channel, it was focused on my mixology because I'm a bartender as well by trade. So I started making a lot of videos based on my drinks making and things like that. But then COVID derailed my bartending career, as you guys most know. So, I had to refocus my videos. And because I'm a huge Giants fan, lifelong Giants fan, and I'm from New Jersey, I just was like, well, what kind of content do I want to bring to the channel? I was going on channels like OGRs, going on channels like The Entertainers and stuff like that, watching a lot of their content. And I found myself leaving these super long comments. So I was like, man, I need to probably start talking about some of this stuff because I'm going to look like a crazy person leaving a paragraph comment or going on the live stream and I'm commenting over and over again. So that's when I started making Giants videos. And then I pump out enough Giants videos, but not enough to really say I'm a Giants YouTuber. I try to keep at least one Giants video a week, but I could never pump out as much Giant content as you guys do because, I do my movie reviews and things like that on my channel. So my brain is all over the place, so my channel's all over the place. But hey, if you guys want to check me out, you're going to have a lot of laughs, and I'm always giving information out.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Quick shout out to Harrison Jolly, Midwest Sports, Daniel Burry, Brandon Rogers, Sports 101, and Alex Sports. And obviously, again, Big Blue Jabroni because that dude's awesome. And go check that dude out as well. Obviously, check out TSR. But so here is the toughest question I'm going to ask you all night. How's your week been?
Oh, man. You know what? I'm kind of like, I hate to say it because so many people are so negatively affected in life, with COVID-19 and everything like that. This week actually was kind of hard because a close friend of mine, is actually on the struggle bus with COVID-19 right now. This is the first person throughout all of this. I've only had like one actually close friend contract the virus and actually be sick. So she's sick right now. So I want to send my prayers out to her. And it's kind of that's been like on my mind this week. Other than that, I'm kind of like living the dream a little bit. I mean, I'm back to work, but not fully back to work. So I'm only working a few days a week right now, and focusing a lot of time on my content and my family. So this week wasn't that bad, but I hear here in Atlanta we're about to shift and probably go back. Words in the COVID-19. I think we're going to phase 1 now. So I just heard that. I haven't read it yet though, so I don't know how true it is or what it's going to be. But I might be going back not to work.
All right. Well, that's unfortunate. Nick DeWick, what's going on? Sports reaction. Yes, I have seen the movie Concussions with Will Smith. It is worth the watch. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but obviously you're part of the movie, so you can comment on that real quick.
On Concussions, I actually didn't see that movie, heard a lot about it, but I would tell you one thing that was eye-opening, that Aaron Hernandez documentary on Netflix. Mm-hmm. If you watch that Aaron Hernandez documentary, as you went through it, did you watch it?
I didn't watch it, but I should because I'm actually not too far from where he grew up, Bristol. I used to live there for about 2-3 years of my life. So, and a good friend of mine that I work with actually played with whatchamacallit, and he actually checked some of the things in the documentary. Some of the things are not completely accurate.
Yeah, but it was there's always things for speculation because they got different voices. People feel some kind of way about whatever. But I will say this: when you got to the end of that documentary, not the spoiler, first you're like, man, this Aaron Hernandez is an idiot. Then you're like, man, this Aaron Hernandez is a terrible person. Then you're like, he's an asshole. Then you're like, man, I don't know about this guy. I don't know if he should have been born. But then you get to the end and it's like, wow, who knew it had a lot to do with CTE?
Oh, yeah.
And when you saw that in the end, and then you go back and think about all the things that happened, you look at the whole thing completely different, man. So that concussion stuff is real out there, man. It's real.
Actually, before I came live with you, I actually rewatched V for Vendetta. So
yeah, I love you.
Yeah, but I'll make sure I watch that for sure. Harrison Jolly, what's going on, my man? He says, Heartstorm, best graphics and edits on Giants YouTube.
Appreciate that, man. I put a lot of work into those edits, man. I really enjoy the edits, man. Like, they're painstaking, but I enjoy it.
Well, I love how everything lines up. Everything lines up perfectly. You take your time with it. I really do. I really do get a kick out of it. Actually, real quick, what editing software do you use?
I actually am a completely mobile YouTuber. I use
nice
KindMaster, or it's called KineMaster, but it's KindMaster on my Android phone. I record all my stuff on my Note 10 Plus, and I edit everything on KindMaster. I do my thumbnails, which is the thorn in my side. I do my thumbnails mainly on Snapseed, but I might be switching to PixArt and maybe using the combination of PixArt and Snapseed going soon. I've been watching some tutorials on it. So other than adding my end screens and adding the background stuff you got to do on YouTube, for those of you who are YouTubers out there, that's the only thing I do in the post when I edit my videos. So I do everything on the phone.
So what's going on? Eagle UK, huge reporter in Giant Team. What'd you say?
I said, as long as you got layers, you can edit anything. And I got a tutorial on that if anybody wants to know.
All right, that's awesome, bro. That's awesome. Yeah. So I love asking. I think I've asked this on every Big Blue courtroom I've done. Who is your most underrated Giant of all time? Because I think it's easy to ask, your worst Giant of all time. I think it's easy to ask your most, your favorite Giant of all time.
Man, underrated. Okay. Underrated. I'm going to tell you a Giant who I appreciated a lot while he was playing, but you never hear anybody mention him or say he's their favorite Giant. And that's Jason Sehorn. I love Jason Sehorn when he was playing. For one, he might have been the only white cornerback in the league.
At the time,
he was highly athletic. Had he been a black person, they would have talked more about his athleticism. But he was white, so it was like, hate to say it, they always say that a white person who's super athletic is good because of other things. Like, well, he's really savvy and he reads defense good. Man, the guy was a beast. The guy ran a good 40. He had great instincts. He had great hands. He made some amazing plays as a Giant. Loved Jason Sehorn when he was playing. So he was one of my favorites.
Yeah. You know who would agree with you? Bad Dog Sports. He also played corner and loved Jason Sehorn. He actually has a Jason Sehorn jersey. So, yes.
Yeah, I need to get me one of them.
And, so I have a quick Michael Irvin story. So I think Michael Irvin was on NFL Network, and they were talking about this. It might have been right around the time he was about to go in the Hall of Fame. And they were saying, do you know the best wide receiver that ever covered you? And he was guessing names left and right. And the guy that had the best coverage skills against Michael Irvin, believe it or not, Jason Sehorn.
Makes sense. He had
the best, believe it or not.
And he had to play him twice a year and once or twice in the playoffs. Yep.
So what's going on? Coaches play. Nick DeWick, Mita Traina. I already call that Eagle UK and MH and Heartstorm. I just subbed. A delicious channel. So
appreciate you guys. Hey, I got some drink videos on there, so the drinks I make are delicious too. So if you want to watch a drink tutorial, I wish I could see the comments. I don't know how to set it, so I can see. Let me hit the chat button. Let me see.
Yep. You see comments, and then you'll be able to pick between private and what's going on.
Oh, okay. Live comments. Oh, I see the comments now. But I can't
or you just view it on YouTube if that's easier. Oh, I lost him. All right, guys. Well, as I wait for him to come back. I'll just take a couple questions. Yeah, I mean, there we are.
My mistake. I got to get more set.
All right, we're back. But a little technical difficulty.
Yeah, I'll leave the chats alone.
So actually, you know what I'll do? If there's any questions once we get to questions, I'll start putting them up on the
Gotcha.
on the thing so you can see them.
All right.
So, what is your most fondest giant memory?
Okay. So I'll tell you a quick story. Now, if anybody did catch me on Entertainers Live, it's been a month now since I was on Entertainers Live. That was actually the first Giants live stream I had been on. This is the first YouTube live stream I've been on. So I told this story. So I've been a Giants fan since '84. I'm older than most of you guys that's watching right now, and I'm definitely older than you, OGR. So I've been a Giants fan since '84. And I've always loved the Giants. I never had a second team or anything like that. I was a huge Dan Marino fan growing up, but other than that, I never had a love or passion for any other team but the Giants. I didn't have an AFC team or nothing like that. So, but I was going through some things in my personal, life during the time of the first Super Bowl, the first Eli Super Bowl.
Yep.
And I was going through this situational depression. I was dealing with some stuff that if I got out of the situation, I wouldn't be depressed anymore. So I wouldn't say I was depressed. It was situational depression. I was really down. So we go on this playoff run, right? And nobody thinks we're gonna win. I think we were 10-6 that season. Whatever. We're banked to lose the first game, then the next game. And, we were underdogs every single game, and my spirits were getting slightly lifted with every win. But I never went out to a sports bar to watch a game. I sat at home on my bedroom floor and watched the games on TV by myself because I was down, right? So we get to the Super Bowl, and the only person who I really believed we can win was Michael Strahan. I don't think anybody else on the team truly believed we was going to win that game. And I don't think anybody in the fan base could say they truly believed we was going to win that game. But I wholeheartedly believe Michael Strahan did. So I watched that game. And as the game went on, you're like, man, we got a shot. Scores low. We're in there. And when we won that game, when I say I snapped out of what I was going through instantly, I said, if my team could be the underdogs, go 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks on the road, every single game and win, they go to the playoffs against the undefeated New England Patriots, the team that is best team ever, whatever it can be. Come on, man, we could win that. I can get out of this that I'm going through right now. This is nothing.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the great thing about sports. It really is. Anytime, you're down, you're out, you're not feeling it right now, that's what, gives you the a chance to turn to, and get out of it. And that's kind of part of what's driving people's depression right now. You're not getting that with COVID. I've already started watching Premier League this year because I've been following Christian Pulisic's career. Mm-hmm. If you don't know who he is, he's a United States soccer player, plays on the U.S. men's national team, and then, is good enough. He played in the Bundesliga with BVB and then eventually transferred to Chelsea. But, great, very good player, and he's been on a run right now. I've just been following Chelsea, and now Chelsea's my team. I mean, I guess I'm drawn to the blue teams, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. But I said the same thing. All my favorite teams wear blue.
Yeah, and it's just I just watch it, and I'm like, you know what? It's something to watch. It's something to get my mind off of what's going on. So
yeah, you need that distraction, man. That's the world is hurt. We needed that a lot after 9/11. You remember how powerful it was seeing the Yankees play after 9/11? It's almost like it gives the country hope. It's not a false sense of reality. It's something to root for. You know what I mean? And, sports does bring people together. I mean, it divides, it doesn't bring Cowboys and Giants fans together. You know what I'm saying? It's sports.
Actually, it does. It does.
Same room.
It'll put
you in the same room.
Yeah, it does put you in the same room. That is very true. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take a quick question right here. It says, question, edge rusher is a need, but is wide receiver a bigger need? Me personally, for the Giants, no. Wide receiver is not a bigger need. Edge rusher is the bigger need. You need to be able to get out the quarterback reliably, and the Giants simply don't have it. That's a pretty simple answer. What are your thoughts on that?
Now, let me ask you this. Are you saying next year's draft? Or are you saying for this season, the team we have now? What are you saying?
Right now, it's both. For me, it's both. Because, right now, unless somebody unless multiple people emerge on this team to be elite pass rushers in 1 year, which is a lot to ask, we are still going to need a frontline pass rusher. Either we're going to get that in free agency next year, or we're going to get that in the draft. So my chances are a draft because, I mean, I'm not saying my prediction is the Giants going to be 7-9, and I see different guys being taken. Like Burns a couple years ago from Florida State was taken by, I believe, Carolina. But regardless, we're going to be picking in that mid range if we do go 7-9. So that's why I think pass rusher is going to be the best. I mean, wide receiver might maybe be likely, but I'm counting on Darius Slayton developing more so than O'Shane and Lorenzo. Even though I'm a big O'Shane fan, I predicted us to.
Yeah, I like O'Shane.
Yeah, I predicted us to pick O'Shane 2 years. Well, yeah, would be 2 years ago almost now.
Well, that's a good pick.
Or a year ago.
That was a good prediction. So I'll say this. I believe that I think right now our team on the wide receiver school, we're pretty solid. I think we're on the topper half than the bottom half as far as the wide receiving core, if these guys can stay healthy. Because remember, the tight ends are part of the wide receiving core. Now, of course, we would like to have a big physical wide receiver. But big physical wide receivers don't always mean touchdowns, and they don't always mean wins. Take one of the most biggest physicalist wide receivers in the league. That's Julio Jones. Guy scored 6 touchdowns last year. He had 170 targets. He caught about 120 balls. He scored 6 touchdowns. He's not even a red zone threat. So having a big receiver doesn't necessarily mean better receiver. And I think our core, if healthy, is really solid. So, yeah, in that regard, I would say I don't look at our pass rush as being solid as it stands. So do we need an edge rusher right now? If we can get one in free agency? Yes. In the draft? Yes, definitely more than I feel like we need a bigger wide receiver. So if we came in next year, we had the 12th pick in the draft, per se. 12th pick in the draft could get you the second, maybe third best edge rusher off the board, or the first, second, or third best wide receiver off the board. If I had a choice between the third best wide receiver and the third best edge rusher, I'm taking the third best edge rusher. Like this year in the second round, I would have loved Utor Gross-Matos. I love the Xavier McKinney pick, but I was rooting for Utor Gross-Matos. I would have loved that pick, and I would have loved to see him on one end, O'Shane on the next end.
See, me, I'm a Penn State fan, if you didn't know.
Okay.
And I love Utor with all my heart.
Mm-hmm.
He still needs to grow, and I view him as a 4-3 guy, not so much a 3-4.
Okay.
I don't screaming off the edge as you need. And we're a lot of people say, "Oh, we're going to be a multi-front scheme." You're right, because a lot of our guys can do different things. But for the most
we're going to have to be.
For the most part, I think we're going to be a base 3-4.
3-4 makes sense because even though our defensive line is so solid right now, because they're solid, right?
Yeah.
But we have so many different linebackers that can do so many things. It just makes sense. Now, last year, if we were, running a lot of 3-4, it wouldn't have made sense because it's like we don't have the linebacking core to back that up. But this year, I think we got a bunch of linebackers that we're paying money to. They got to get some, like Blake Martinez has got to be out there all the time. We're paying him to be out there all the time. The guy we got, I forget his name, from Green Bay. No. I love Ryan County. He's actually my favorite Giant, second to Saquon. I'm so bad he got hurt last year. No, the guy we got from Green Bay, and it's escaping me his name. The guy who had
Fackrell.
Yeah, Fackrell. Fackrell and Martinez, they got to be out there. Then if we keep Marcus Golston, he's got to be out there too. He's a 2-down guy. So, and I think we'll have solid play. We get Conley back. We got Martinez. We got Fackrell. Then we got Golston out there. I think that's a solid linebacking core, but just solid.
All right. So Clocks is always challenges me on my ideas, but he kind of agrees me on this. I don't know. Did you watch my video yesterday at all?
What was the topic? Because you make a lot of videos.
The topic was basically announcing that you're going to be on the channel. That's one thing.
I saw that video.
What I'm going to be doing on the weekend. But also the topic was I proposed that the NFL schedule could be revamped because right now a lot of states are not allowing other people from other states to come in unless they're quarantining for 14 days. And my whole thing was, how are you going to quarantine for 14 days? Now, earlier today, they announced, the governor of New York, that Buffalo Jets and New York Giants players reporting from other states do not have to follow that quarantine. But it might change when the NFL season starts.
Yeah,
I don't know how you're going to allow everybody to just travel from state to state, even if you're keeping them in a bubble and not be. So I said it's a possibility similar to what the Big Ten is doing, similar to what the Pac-12 announced, where they might just play their interdivision opponents, or maybe just play in their state or something like that.
I could definitely see that schedule being. I think the NFL is going to do whatever it takes to have a season. Whatever they got to do. Like, I mean, just think about what the NBA doing. That was very unorthodox. That took some great thinking minds to come up with that bubble thing, you know, and to make it feasible and make it work. So I think the NFL's got a lot of thinking minds that are going to keep going as things change to say, okay, if it comes to the point where we're saying New York we're not going to go to the Los Angeles and play the Rams, you know, okay, that could happen. So who flip-flops that game? Does Arizona now play the Rams? And, you know, the coach are just – I could see them doing something like that. Is it something where maybe we have to play the Jets? Maybe AFC opponent that we were going to play, maybe we play the Jets. Makes sense.
Or the Bills.
We're in the same – yeah. So I could definitely see that happening. A lot of teams share multiple states. All the teams in Texas play each other.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. Whatever they got to do to get a season, man. I don't care if it's 10 games. They already canceled most of the preseason. So it's like, whatever they got to do, man, let's get it.
Yeah. So I'll just show you what Clock said real quick, and then I'll get on to other questions here. He says, I'm going out on a limb, OGR, and agreeing with you, though it pains me so that there has to be a revamp with the NFL schedule if they play. It's only with teams in the region, so pumped for MMA.
Yeah.
That's just one thing I propose. I mean, I could be wrong after the announcement today. Metatrana, I don't know how to quite say that name. I get that wrong.
Metatarhan. Or maybe it's Metatarhan.
But if other teams have a linebacker opt out, you guys think Golden will be signed? Well, he's got to be signed by the 25th. If he's not signed by the 25th by another team, he will be a Giant.
Yeah. I think what's helping us keep him and what's hurting his chances of going someplace else, nobody's getting hurt right now. Nobody's in OTAs and training camp. Nobody's tearing up a knee. Nobody's getting hurt that opens up that knee. So the teams right now feel like they got the guys in-house that they need, because if not, he would be signed.
Yeah.
His value is dropped so low right now. Like, I wonder what Clowney's thinking right now.
Oh, well, Clowney's begging for a job now. He's like, hey, I'll go to Dallas. Hey, I'll go to Philly. Hey, I'll go to any contender.
Let me tell you something that's crazy. This is even crazy because I thought about it. I'm like, wait, Clowney doesn't have a job right now.
Either does Everson Griffin.
So look, other teams, these guys are under contract. If we don't have a season, they get paid. They're going to get some type of compensation. This guy's unemployed. He's going to be getting an unemployment check like me if he doesn't get signed. So maybe teams are waiting. Why pay a guy a $30 million signing bonus who they might not even have games?
Exactly.
So that's very scary, man. For that young man, it's very scary. You know. Not
to mention, there's still questions going into next year because the salary cap is going to drop, most likely.
Exactly.
You know, they're not going to make the same revenue they've been making.
The same way they thought that it was automatic that it was going to go up. Maybe not, man. Maybe not.
Yeah. So MH says, question for OGR, who's a better ball head, Heartstorm or Bad Dog? Heartstorm. Bad Dog don't rock it. Heartstorm rocks.
Yeah, hey, I'm about to cut this off in a second.
But I'm starting. I'm starting. Yeah, I'm gonna be joining you real soon.
If Conley can stay healthy, this is a guy who likes Conley like me.
Yep.
Yep. Conley can stay healthy.
But that works. What's going on? Noah Cahill, Perry Mack, obviously, and Prism Mike. He says, could Julian Love play the second cornerback spot? I don't know. There's just way too much competition there. I'm not as high on Julian Love as a lot of other New York Giants fans are. Mm-hmm. A lot of New York Giants fans have a tendency to be Notre Dame fans, so they have that hype going into it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not as high on Julian Love. I mean, yeah, he's got a puncher's chance because, Joe Judge wants guys that can play. So, but right now, I'm going to assume DeAndre Baker, innocent until proven guilty. I think he's coming back to the Giants, and I really don't see him getting suspended unless other damning information comes out right now.
Mm-hmm. I think. Well, first I would say this about Julian Love. I didn't have a weigh-in on him either way. It was kind of like, I was just gonna see how he panned out. But I watched him in a couple of interviews, and I watched him in like he did like an interview, like a podcast type interview with like a Giants YouTuber or something, like a smaller channel or something like that. And seeing his character and listening to him, plus his last name is Love. For one, I will give him next. My last name is Love. But as you don't know, I introduced myself to Hearthstone Media. My name is actually Mustafa. Last name Love, L-O-V, that's my real name. So I listened to the guy talk, and I became a fan of him. I love his character. So I hope that he can be a successful Giant. You know what I mean? Because we need guys like that in the league, you know, and not to throw shots at DeAndre Baker or, what's our kicker's name?
Aldrich Rojas.
Rojas. I was going to say Rojas. You know,
Rotisserie.
You need good character guys around, man. And I'm not saying those guys aren't, but, people make mistakes. But you need to have good character guys in the locker room. And I think that's what hurts a lot of teams these days. As soon as a guy can't run a 4.4, he's off the team. I know Ray Lewis, towards the end of his career, wasn't running a 4.4 anymore. But could you imagine a guy like him and Ed Reed not being in that locker room?
Absolutely.
You still need veteran leadership around, and a lot of teams just don't have veteran leadership. And then you become the Browns.
How about the salaries of players who opt out? Will they count against the salary cap? Good question. I have no clue.
You know who would have that information? The Entertainer Talking Sports. Chris knows all about the contract details and all. He does his research and homework. I don't get a chance to investigate that much into the salary caps, things of the nature. But speaking of salaries, I don't know if anybody's asking these questions. It's time to weigh in on the Patrick Mahomes. I want to hear your take. I know you probably made a video about it. How do you think that affects the league? How do you think that affects Dak Prescott? Because I'm asking you a question now, and any viewers still watching right now. How do you think it affects the league? How do you think it affects Dak Prescott? How do you think it affects Daniel Jones and us 2.5 years from now?
Honestly, his contract, like none of these guys can argue they deserve to be paid as much as he does. And
definitely not.
And the salary cap's going to be going down. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be really hard for these guys to argue that they deserve to be 30, 35 million. Because if the salary cap's going to go down or stay the same, mm-hmm. how many teams are willing to give 25% of their cap to just their quarterback?
Yeah.
And Daniel Jones still needs to prove that he's a franchise quarterback. I trust he can be,
mm-hmm.
but he still has got to prove it. So right now, I said last year, Dak Prescott is a $35 million quarterback. People are like, even last year, like, you're out of your mind. Mm-hmm. Where are you pulling a quarterback from? Where are you getting one from? They don't grow on trees.
That's the problem. Except for this year, because they're all over the place this year.
Yeah.
They got a lot of projects this year.
Maybe the Red Rifle reincarnates his career if Dak goes down, but right now they got nobody.
Yeah. So I'll tell you my take, because I actually did a video on this a while back. This was my take on the Dak Prescott thing, why I believe the Cowboys wouldn't sign him, and I became right. The Cowboys didn't sign him. I said last year they wasn't going to sign him. Said in my video this year, I highly doubt they were going to sign him to a long-term deal. I needed what happened to Dak and the Cowboys to happen, because I hate the fact that every time a new quarterback is up for a contract, they have the leverage so much over the team. Because once you invest the first, second, or third pick on a quarterback, you gotta
develop one. Not only that, because Dak was a 4th-round pick. Don't forget.
So now, mind you, I wish they would have paid him some of the money they owe him. But going forward is another story. So the quarterback has so much leverage in that contract talk because you don't want to be without a quarterback. Matt Ryan should have never been the highest paid quarterback in the league ever. Matt Stafford should have never been the highest paid quarterback in the league ever. Jared Goff, ever, but they were at one point in time. So how do you justify paying a guy who's not even top 5 the most just because he's the most recent to sign? So I'm glad that the Cowboys stopped that bucket right now. Just because you're the latest to sign, that doesn't mean we got to pay you the most.
But here's the thing. They've only been kicking the can down the road. Because, yes, that first year is a huge bullet to bite. And don't get me wrong. You sign that quarterback to a $40 million deal. You're biting that bullet. You're like, oh, man, I got to let this guy go. I got to let this guy go. I got to try and restructure this contract to get it. But at the end of the day, you look at where Matthew Stafford is 4 years down the road.
You're right.
Yeah,
5 years down the road.
The market may be adjust.
Yeah.
Since now the market's coming down, teams are going to be it's going to be interesting how it shakes out. But, Patrick Mahomes did not sign a good contract, by the way.
I think his contract was good for him and the team because he didn't debilitate the team. It seems like it because it's so much, but the way they stretched it out, and of course he'll restructure in 5 years. If in 5 years, he's not going to be the 12th highest paid quarterback in the league. They're going to make sure he gets back up there. They're going to restructure that deal. But it's something to say he has the security. He's going to get every endorsement ever to be had in Kansas City, and he'll still be able to have a competitive team. And I think he saw that. It's more important to still have a competitive team than to just be the highest paid guy. Now, they were smart in jumping ahead a whole 2 years and saying, we ain't going to play this game. We're going to show you that we appreciate you. We're going to show you that we feel like you're the best. We're going to give you more than anybody's ever got for longer than anybody's ever got. So now they can meet in the middle and say, hey, 4 years down the line, they might be restructuring, and he might be doing a Tom Brady restructure where he takes less money.
Who knows? So what's going on? NYG31. So Clock says, I always like answering Clock. Oh my good friend and I saw ESPN rate Saquon #1 RB, bro, and I agree. But Quentin Nelson will go down as the #1 left guard of all time over Larry Allen, and he's from Jersey. He loves the Giants. Hey, right now I can't argue his numbers are very, very good. Let's see that. Let's see him play 10 years first before we go out there and say that, because Larry Allen had a long.
Yeah, Larry Allen did it. Larry Allen did it for a long time, and it's something to be able to get them Super Bowl rings too, man. Like, it is so hard to say a guy is the best ever who doesn't get a ring. Like, to me, the best arm-talented quarterback I've ever seen in my life was Dan Marino. Never seen anybody like Dan Marino. Unfortunately, he didn't get that one coveted ring. Now, he was a tree in the pocket, but, Dan Marino was shifty in the pocket. He was the guy that showed me how to just take 2 steps up and not get sacked. He never had to run in the pocket. He's very, savvy in the pocket. But, if Dan Marino had 1 or 2 Super Bowls, people would still be saying he's the best quarterback in the league, maybe in history. He was amazing.
Noah Kale says Love went back to college and got his degree. Well, that's interesting.
Heard that. Yeah, I seen that in an interview too. Yeah.
Question for Heartstorm: where did your name Heartstorm come from?
Okay, so the name of my clothing line is Love Laced Apparel. When I created my logo, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Now, I wish you could see my logo. If we get a quick break, I'll grab something. You can see my logo. My logo is actually a storm that has a heart cut out of it, and it has the face of Han Solo and Princess Leia in the center. So the logo is the Heart Storm. That's what it's called. And when I started doing the media marketing and promotions, I just took the Heartstorm Media. So it's Love Lace Apparel in conjunction with Heartstorm Media. I got a lot of stuff going on over here, man. I'm trying to build an empire 1 brick at a time. So that's where the Heartstorm Media came from.
All right. So Afghanistan Baby Oh Yeah says, if Dak wasn't worth 35 to 40 million before, he definitely ain't going to be worth it when the cap either stays the same or lowers. And another year of choking under his belt. Ha ha ha. You're right in a way, but at the end of the day, quarterbacks don't grow on trees. And where are you getting your next quarterback from? Every time somebody poses me a question about quarterbacks, that's what I always say. I say, where are you getting the next quarterback from? Because they don't grow on trees. They're not there. Once you find an adequate quarterback, not the greatest quarterback, an adequate quarterback, you have to do everything in your power to keep that quarterback because you're not getting another one.
But how good is Dak, though, man? He's standing behind the best line in football, arguably. He had the best line in football for 2 years. He's got one of the best running backs in football. Now, he did show what he could do once he got Amari Cooper, numbers-wise. But, he is a underachiever as a team. Now, you can blame someone else, Jason Garrett, whatever the case may be. But with their talent, for 3 years straight, they were picking the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC because on paper, on a video game, they kick your ass. But in real life, who they were beating. They were beating us twice and the Redskins twice every year. When they play against above 500 teams, Dak just doesn't perform. I'm not saying he's not clutch. So if I was talking to a Cowboys fan, I would say, tell me how many people Dak Prescott beat in the last 2 years that were above 500.
Yeah.
He's got 4 wins. So it's really hard to argue that the guy should get that kind of money. And if you think about this past year, the Cowboys were smart not to jump the gun and sign him to that long-term deal when he went 3-0 and he was looking gangbusters. Everybody was like, oh, it's Stephen A. Smith every day. There's no way that man get paid that man his money. There's no way he don't. You gonna tell me his brother shouldn't get the money 3-0? He's got 12 touchdowns and no picks and all this. And then they lost 3 straight games. And it was like, oh, I don't know what's going on with the Dak thing. They were looking good 3 games ago. So I don't know. It's weird. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys really quick, Mr. Jack. So this is the Heartstorm logo. Wait, let me get it right there.
There you go. There you go.
If you're a Star Wars fan,
it kind of reminds me. I know it's a storm, but it kind of reminds me of a tornado.
Yeah. Exactly. So if you knew Star Wars, you'd recognize that symbol in the middle because that is the face of a lot of Star Wars memorabilia right there.
All right.
So I stole that.
I want some quick shout outs. Nikki, love you too. Ramadi already known what's going on. LA Lou, I'll get to your question in a second. Karen Bell for night. I'm awesome. What's going on with you? Whew.
LA Lou.
Guys, question. If Wilson and Mahomes offense line, RBs and receivers, and head coach Quand, let's just say they are the same age, who would you take?
Oh, okay. Man, Patrick Mahomes is super impressive.
Tough. Mahomes he's got better arm talent, but Russell Wilson's more elusive. And it's just like I'm saying to myself, if Russell Wilson's on KC and has KC's line, KC's wide receivers, KC's tight ends, could Russell Wilson do the same thing that Patrick Mahomes is doing?
I mean,
I say yes,
but Patrick Mahomes is doing it. So,
yeah, but he's doing it because he's doing it because the team around him is very good. I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes can't carry a team, and he might need to with that contract being signed, but we'll see.
That's a hard one.
As my friend Lee Corso would say, it's closer than the experts think.
Yeah, because look, when Russell Wilson had a great team, he won a Super Bowl. The next year, they almost won a Super Bowl. KC, Patrick Mahomes has a great team. They almost won a Super Bowl. Then the next year, they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I have no idea. That's a good question. That's a hard question.
Okay, so LA Lou says, and I love LA Lou because he always in Bad Dog Chat, always driving the
Bad Dog Chat too.
Teams have QBs in development on a second string and the practice squad. If it should be like college. If you're not performing, second and third string guys should get a shot. All right, but if your team's still winning and your quarterback's not performing like Mitch Trubisky, what do? Bringing in another quarterback might disrupt the chemistry. Even though Mitch Trubisky's not the best quarterback, you can still win with an average quarterback. The Giants won with Jeff Hostetler. What did Jeff Hostetler do in his career after being a Giants starter and then, getting started because of Phil Simms going down? But one playoff season with the Raiders, and that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
That was Jeff Hostetler's career. So I hear what he's saying, but again, they just don't grow on trees because your second and third string guy, nobody thinks your second and third string guy can come in and play as well as your starter. I mean, let me ask you, LA Lou, do you think that your second or third stringer could do just as well as Jared Goff? Right?
Yeah. I mean, who is LA's second stringer?
I don't even know the second string for the Raiders.
They probably don't have anybody important. Yeah. Or anybody notable. Let me say that. They don't have anybody notable. So I got nothing on that. I got nothing on that. Do I think they should get a chance? Now, quarterback is too much of a changing of the chemistry of the team. You can swap out a linebacker, you can swap out a corner, but swapping out the quarterback just because of some poor play. You got to be willing to, as you say, to tank the guy. First guy's got to be gone. Period. It got to be changed. It got to be complete change, not just a tryout.
So, Bad Dog, what's good, my man? Bad Dog's in the chat. He says, I'm going to have Heartstorm on the channel, and we're going to discuss greatness of ball-headed athletes, LOL.
Ah, yeah. Bad diggity dog. Hey, Jason Taylor was a great ball-headed athlete, man. He had the cleanest, smoothest ball head. He played for the Dolphins. Remember the great defensive end who doesn't get enough credit. It's a great player he was. He had a smooth ball, man. He had a good one.
So, Bad Dog wants to know, because I usually, if I have a beer right now, it's summer, I'm drinking a Rona or Corona. But he is, OGR, where's the Corona at? I'm out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he said before the live stream he was out of beer. I said, that's blasphemy.
Water King Anonymous says, how's it going, guys? I'm doing fantastic. I've got my friend, obviously, Heartstorm Media. Love having him on the channel. So, yes, I'm doing
fine.
We're
good, man. We're good. We're good. Appreciate you guys chiming in, too.
Oh, so I'll let you answer this. Do not question the power of HOS.
Hoss. Wait, what is it? What's HOS? What's that stand for? I don't know.
I thought it was a question, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, they used to call Jeff Hostetler Hoss.
Oh, yes.
Gotta be Jeff Hostetler. That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
All right. What? Noah Cahill, another good YouTuber. I don't know if you've ever checked him out, but what are your true, honest thoughts on Darnold? Ha ha ha. He stinks.
Listen, I did a whole video on that when the guy from ESPN, I forget his name, came out and said that Darnold was better than Jones. I think that's laughable. It's weird. I mean, that's just like PFF rating Dwayne Haskins better than Daniel Jones. It drives me crazy when somebody has to like pull a guy's potential out to say that that guy is better than somebody that's outperforming him right now. So it's like, oh, I saw things in Haskins' game that lets me know he's going to be a good quarterback. But did he do it? No. You saw the potential. Daniel Jones did it. So I saw things from Darnold, how he reads defense and he does that. Did he produce, though? No. He threw 13 picks and 16 touchdowns. So whatever you were seeing, it wasn't coming to fruition. So, no, I don't think Darnold's better than Daniel Jones. I think he's a solid quarterback, yeah. I don't think he wouldn't have the personality to be the Giants quarterback. It's different between playing for the Giants and playing for the Jets. Two different things. It's levels to this. So I don't think he has the personality to be the New York Football Giants quarterback. But yeah, he can quarterback them Jets. You know, nobody expects nothing from them. They're back page news.
So everybody keeps asking me, have I seen the DeAndre Baker thing? Did I see the DeAndre Baker thing? I have not.
I'm about to say something new.
DeAndre Baker. But Sports Reaction says the video evidence, Instagram DMs, testimony showing paying off and covering up for DeAndre Baker and Quentin Dunbar further implicate the NFL players in a crime.
Okay, look, I got to go read that. I'm going to go look at that. And then
honestly, I got to know too. But if that's the case, man,
if witness tampering comes into play and they got evidence now on witness tampering,
that's it. DeAndre's got to go. If you're tampering with witnesses, that means you don't believe that you can get off anyway.
Yeah, that means you don't believe you're innocent.
And again, I'm gonna say innocent until proven guilty, but it doesn't. It's not a good look if that's the case.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I was planning on making a video of this show, and I'm gonna give like 2 seconds. I'll tell you this. Like even with Rosas, right? The guy made a mistake. I don't know what his life is like. I don't know if he's doing stuff like that. We question all the time, man. What's this guy doing drunk at 8:30 in the morning, whatever the case may be. So, people ask for forgiveness when you make mistakes. Everybody deserves a second chance. But sometimes you got to take the punishment first. So, does a guy deserve his multi-million-dollar contract after he's made a certain mistake? Because how do you learn your lesson? You can't punch somebody in the face and then say, oh, man, I'm sorry. It's like, okay, I'll punch you in the face and then I'll accept your apology.
Yeah.
So now we can go to the next step. So should a guy lose his job? Probably so, because that's the punishment. Yeah. Then you can ask for reinstatement with the league. You can make amends. You can go to counsel and do all that. So same with DeAndre Baker. If he did something at that party, I'm not going to say that makes him a bad person. I'm going to say he made a mistake.
Absolutely.
Now he has to take the punishment, i.e. if he has to go to jail, if he has to lose his contract, if he has to get reinstated by the league, Then he can come back, ask for a second chance, and say, "Hey, I'm working on getting my life together. I realize I made a mistake." And we can go forward there. So, should we just quick to say cancel the guy because he made a mistake? Cut the guy because he made a mistake? But maybe he doesn't deserve that $1 million contract.
Yeah, and then not only that, the Giants kept saying, DeAndre, you can't come back to the team. Why don't you take care of your legal things? Tape it. Did the Giants? Now that leaves me more question. Did the Giants know? Did the Giants? Because the Giants have to be checking in with their sources and whatnot. They're not just going to sit there blindly and just listen to everything DeAndre or his lawyers telling them.
They got investigators out there.
They're not come out publicly and say that. Do they know? That's why they said, "Hey, why don't you take care of your legal stuff first?" Because if this is the case, I mean, it's a given. Yeah.
Sometimes people pay to get stuff to go away, whether they really did it or not. So I could see that happening, but that's just stupid on his lawyer's part. If his lawyers are involved in it, to advise that, just stupid. But
all right. So MH wants to know, who is your favorite MLB team and who's your favorite NBA team?
Okay, I gave Bad Dog, if he's still on live, I gave Bad Dog the Holy Trinity on my top 10 YouTubers video. My Holy Trinity is Giants, Yankees, Knicks. So as I said earlier, all of my teams wear blue. So I don't know if I love blue because all of my teams happen to wear blue, or if, there's the other way around. But yeah, so I'm a Yankees, Giants, Knicks guy. And I like the Rangers too, but I don't watch that much hockey.
Karen, I see you kind of like not spamming chat, but you want me to answer some things right now. I mean, right now I'm here to entertain. I don't mind asking people, questions right now, but right now I really don't got time for that, to be honest with you. But I mean, I appreciate it for you trying to get my attention. I'm glad that you respect my opinion, but I'm not going to get into it right now. Lou says Rams have John Walton, who was excellent in the XFL. He has shown he can run the offense and make throws. Where would the Giants be if they didn't have Jeff Hostetler when Sims went down? You're absolutely right. Same thing could be said for the Philadelphia Eagles. Where would they have been if they didn't have Nick Foles? So, it can happen, but do you trust for him to take over the reins from Jared Goff completely, or at least for an entire season, and still end up with the record that your team could potentially be at?
I will tell you something really quick about backup quarterbacks. So many teams take backup quarterbacks for granted. We did for years because Eli was the Iron Man. Same thing happened with the Colts. Remember when Curtis Painter had to take over a team that was just 13-3? They won one game. They didn't care about who their backup quarterback was because they thought they would never need him. There's no reason why your backup quarterback shouldn't be able to win a 13-3 team a ball game or two. You know what I mean? So the same thing happened with us. Well, Eli never got hurt, but we never had a solid backup. Now, this is one thing I would say. I'm going to throw this out there, and we can just throw it out there and throw it right in the trash. This is one of the reasons why I believe that Tim Tebow should have never been outed in the league. And it's unfortunate that Tim Tebow didn't have a job in the league. If Tim Tebow wasn't good enough to be a starting quarterback because he got the elongated motion or whatever case it would be, okay, cool. But Tim Tebow could have been a backup quarterback, because if your starting quarterback goes down, what do you ask the backup quarterback to do? Hand the ball off and don't turn it over. Nobody was better at handing the ball off and not turning it over than Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow can win you a game. He was way better than Curtis Painter. If you took a 12-win team and took away their starting quarterback and put Tim Tebow on that team, they still win 7 or 8 games. Tim Tebow should have been in this league. So backup quarterbacks, yes, are very important. But we didn't need to put Jeff Hostetler in to win the Super Bowl, because Phil Simms had us with 11 wins at that point when he went down. So I get what you're saying about having a solid guy and giving him a chance, but not if your quarterback is winning 11 games.
Yeah.
So unless he's willing to scrap the Jared Goff.
Even though TSR kind of touched on it, I'll put this up anyways. Video evidence, Instagram DMs, testimony, search warrant obtained by NYDN Sports shows payoff cover-up for Giants Baker and Seattle Quentin Dunbar implicating players in alleged FI armed robbery.
So. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's weird that they didn't have evidence to really substantiate the robbery, but then they got him on another crime trying to cover up. That's just unfortunate, man. That's stupid. If the only evidence you had before was eyewitness testimony and they had no evidence of the crime, then you pay off the eyewitnesses, then you get caught paying off the eyewitnesses. So they got a whole nother crime.
All right. All right, so Big Blue Jabroni responds to that, says, "What a waste for a first-round pick. Can blame Gettleman, but he's the GM, and now Joe Judge and the coaching staff have to find a replacement on the roster," which I believe is there.
Yeah.
Karen wants to know Chiefs or Patriots.
Hate or like?
He just says Chiefs or Patriots. So who do you prefer?
So let's say this. I like the Patriots. I mean, I like the Chiefs more than I like the Patriots. I hate the Patriots more, but I really have no reason to hate them because we beat them twice in the Super Bowl. But I hate them because they're cheaters.
Karen, go ahead. Why don't you just DM me on Twitter? That's just the easiest way. Whatever question you got, I'll answer.
Yeah, what was the question?
No. He
just
wants to answer me. He just wants my thoughts on something, apparently. So okay. Tony Reviews in the chat. This guy's awesome. If you guys like boxing, this is the man to go check out. He's a boxer himself, if I'm not mistaken, and also just a huge boxing fanatic. Always reports on the constant boxing news. A local fighter in my area, I asked him to review, and it's just fun. Just a great channel I watch that I haven't even talked about on this channel. So Clocks wants to get your attention as well. He says, only for Heartstorm. Bro, if you were a Giants GM, would you still take Saquon or the rumored trade with Denver offered G-Men 2 1s? They wanted Darnold.
Man.
Get Nelson plus the next year's pick. Clocks, I'm still answering this, right?
Look, 2 1s to drop down a few slots. You got to take that. I mean, I love Saquon Barkley. I think he's a generational talent. I have no problem with us picking at 2. But if that trade is proposed and you get one next year and one year, one the next year for a team that was completely leading towards a rebuild, even if you're not saying we're rebuilding that, we're in the middle of a rebuild. You got to take 2 1s. But I have no problem with the Darnold pick. I mean, with the Saquon pick at all. And I'm glad Darnold is not our quarterback for one. You look down that list, and I plan on doing a video of this soon, but it takes a lot of research. We haven't missed many picks as you think. Now, of course, we had the Eli Apple. I wish we didn't get Eli Apple. But even then, I looked at that draft. The guys that were there when Eli Apple was on the board, it wasn't like knockout talent. None of them guys really produced anything in that first round. It was a couple of second rounders who you would have never took at that slot who did produce. So we were like right there to the point where we almost could have got somebody great. Same thing in the Evan Ingram draft. We got the best player at that position, like at that slot. Nobody else after Evan Ingram turns into anything. It's like we didn't miss. So a lot of picks we didn't miss, and I definitely don't think we missed on the Saquon draft at all. We're not going to be crying like Chicago is going to be crying.
Weird question. But he says, favorite NFL personality. Mine is Eli, very expressive, big mouth, rallies the squad. Obviously, that's a little bit of here. But favorite NFL personality. Now, do you mean favorite commentator NFL personality? Because for me, that would be Tony Romo. But favorite NFL player,
that's interesting.
Favorite NFL player of all time, as far as personality, for me, I have guys that are opposing. I love Barry Sanders, and I love Lawrence Taylor.
Barry Sanders was stoic.
Yeah. I love stoic guys that just go out there, get the job done, don't complain, just do what they need to do. But I also love the rah-rah guys like Lawrence Taylor. Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs.
I'll say this. In past years, my favorite NFL personality was Primetime. Deion Sanders, I couldn't help but root for him when he was on the Cowboys. It was like I wanted to see Deion run the punts back, but I didn't want to see the Cowboys win. But I love seeing Deion do everything he did, the dance, the showboat, and the trash talking. I love Deion Sanders. Recent years, it was a guy that I like, very obscure guy, Jared Allen. He was defensive end for the Minnesota Vikings. I loved his Jack in the Box celebration. I love watching him get sacked. And I think I'm going to do a video. We should do this video. Best celebrations. Who's your favorite celebrator? Right now, mine is Dexter Lawrence. With his dance. I love Dexter Lawrence.
One of my funniest celebrations that I've ever watched live on TV. Remember Joe Horn?
What was his celebration? From New Orleans, right?
Yeah, it was a one-time thing.
Uh-huh.
ran over to the goalpost and pulled out a cell phone and started calling.
Oh yeah,
That's right. Happened against the Giants. I thought that was creative.
Yeah, he did do that because everybody was trying to one up T.O. and then one up Chad Ocho, and the wide receiver was going crazy at the time. Yeah. T.O. did the popcorn,
and then T.O. with the Sharpie and the sock. That was
T.O. with the Sharpie and the sock, the popcorn, and all that stuff. And the popcorn was great. I ain't gonna lie, the popcorn was great.
Yeah, the popcorn was awesome.
Yeah.
Apparently he wants to get my thoughts on death. I'm not really going to talk about that right now, but I appreciate it.
Weird. I'm about to say pick one of his questions and answer it. Why not?
Yeah,
but not the
Karen, he says Chiefs defense or Pats defense. Obviously, he's a Chiefs fan. He wants to say Chiefs, but the Patriots have the more dominant defense right now. But just because you don't have a dominant defense doesn't mean you can't win a Super Bowl. Chiefs proved that last year.
Yeah. Patriots are solid, man. Patriots are just solid. Yeah. You know, they just don't give up touchdowns. They just don't give up anything. They're like the working man's team right now.
Yeah. And LLU says, without a backup, you can't trust them. Then just give up on the rest of the season. If number one goes down, you need a pro who the team trusts. Earl Morrell, both the Colts and the Dolphins to the Super Bowl. Right.
This guy's a historian. L.A. Lou is
a very knowledgeable fan. I will give him that.
Yeah.
Favorite Daniel Jones throw this year?
Oh, man, this past year? The tight window throw to Darius Slayton, back right corner of the end zone, over the shoulder, not much separation at all. You've probably seen that highlight. I think that might have been his best throw. He was under some mild duress during that time. It wasn't like a clean pocket. I remember that throw because that was all QB. I mean, like Slayton made the catch with the guy draped over him, but he had to have the confidence that he was going to be able to put it in that window. Slayton hadn't beat his guy. He had like a one step on the guy. And I'm talking about the ball was perfectly placed, dropped in. It was just not as good as Eli to Mario Manningham, but I'm saying it looked like that, but without less pressure, of course. That's me.
My favorite throw, and I don't know why I'm picking this throw because actually there's a ton of throws you can pick from. I mean, Mike Too Nice broke down all of Darius Slayton's plays, and I am a Darius Slayton fan. When I showed up to the Jets and Giants game, we had a Giants and Jets meetup. I met Bad Dog, I met Chris, I met Green David, but when we got there, I had an 86 jersey on and walked through the parking lot. Like, who's that? Who's that? It's Darius Slayton. That ain't no Bear Pasco. No, that's Darius Slayton.
Oh, man. That's a great reference right there. You showed out with that one.
But anyways, I mean, there's a lot of Darius Slayton throws I could pick from. I don't know why I'm picking this throw, but the bomb to Saquon during the Washington game, even though Saquon was wide open. I don't know why I picked that throw. It was just a solid throw. Solid catch and throw. I mean, obviously he was wide open. I don't know why I'm picking that throw. That's just the first thing that popped into my mind.
Yeah.
Noah Cahill says against the Lions, the question mark where Darius Slayton went and got it.
Yeah. Beautiful throw and catch, man. Beautiful throw and catch.
So, favorite Daddy Saquon run. Mine's against the Philadelphia, putting the peace sign up. That's a good one. My favorite one all time of Saquon was a USC run at Penn State during the Rose Bowl.
Oh,
that's one of the best college runs I've ever seen. He literally 1v12, 1v11 the team. Like, he went out to the outside. Two USC guys had him dead to rights, jukes out of both of them, jukes the next 3-4 guys, goes out, and then knows that Adoree Jackson's coming from somewhere. And his wide receivers strive for shy with him, pushes the dude off the ground, and obviously Saquon, and I think he ended up tying that game up, or they were down by a touchdown. I mean, USC ended up winning that game. USC was dominant that year. That's where Sam Darnold really got his notoriety.
Mine is definitely the one where I actually use that as a clip as a highlight in one of my videos. It's the prettiest in slow motion. The spin move, stiff arm to the ground
against the Lions.
Accelerate, juke. That was like Jim Brown and Earl Campbell all put together. Like, how do you come off a spin and then still have the power to mash a grown man who's coming at you? into the ground. I mean, bent this back up. Like the guys like this with a hand in his face getting bent down, and then have the acceleration take over. That's one of the best slow motion runs you're gonna see.
All right, you know what, Karen, I'll entertain you. I'll entertain you.
Yeah, I want to hear
why do people fear dying? Because they should be ready for it, because you never know when it's going to happen. People fear dying because you have loved ones and everyone around you, and it's life. And for the most part, people enjoy life. Why would you want your life to end when you have all this great stuff around you? That's why they fear dying, because they're going to miss their loved ones. They're never going to get to see them again. It's really as simple as that. You should enjoy your life. That's why when I hear about suicide, it is literally the saddest thing for me, because you literally said, I am so depressed. I am so sad. I have so many messed up things in my life that I'm forgetting about my loved ones. And I'm going to.
I don't want to enjoy anything else ever. I'll tell you this, man. I fear dying before the conclusion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, I was like, listen, man, just let me get to Endgame. I didn't wait 10 years, watch 22 movies to die. Let me get through Endgame, and then, okay. I would have been so mad. I would have been also so mad if Episode 9 about to die before Episode 9. I watched all these Star Wars movies all these years. I'm trying to get a conclusion. Let me get that out of the way, and then I'll be okay if I got to go. That's my thoughts on death.
A little bit before my time, but if anyone ever thinks Stabler was a Hall of Famer, he's the least sacked quarterback in NFL history. He was average. He's off. His off line is the greatest in history.
Offensive line great. Okay.
All right. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But here's the thing. The standards for getting into the NFL Hall of Fame as far as quarterback is extremely low. It's not my fault they put Joe Namath in. So when anytime somebody says, "Hey, I don't think Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer," it's not my fault he's so far so low. And the greatest quote I've heard pretty much all year was from Adam Schefter when this whole Eli Manning a Hall of Famer. He goes, "Can you tell the story of the NFL without naming that person?"
I remember that quote. Yep.
And I was like,
that was a good
you're
quote.
right. And that one quote got Strong Opinion Sports to change his mind.
Yep. You can't tell the story of NFL. Yeah. So and Ken Stabler, look, the Snake, he was a great quarterback. I got a chance to see a smidgen of him playing. Definitely seen some highlights, whatever the case may be. I've watched film and things of that nature. The bar was lower on stats back then because a lot of guys weren't putting up the kind of stats that they are now. The bar was placed higher on persona and consistency and longevity, or like if you stayed with the team for 7, 8, or 10 years. Like Boomer Esiason. Boomer Esiason is a Hall of Famer, if I'm not mistaken. If you put Boomer Esiason in the league right now, he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Boomer Esiason is Andy Dalton. He just played for the Bengals when it was only about 10 good quarterbacks. It was 10 good quarterbacks. All of them deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because they made the league at the time. Yeah. Boomer Esiason, Jim Kelly. It was a lot of quarterbacks that didn't win Super Bowls that were just out there getting beat by Joe Montana every year or the Giants.
So going further to the point, and then I want to get into Tony's thing. So Karen says you could see your loved ones, spirits, heaven, etc. I get it, but you're not going to be able to interact with them. You're not going to be. Do I believe in ghosts? Yes. Do I believe in spirits? Yes, I do. But at the end of the day, you're not. At the end of the day, it's not the same. It's not the same of being on Earth and getting to interact. If I was dead, I couldn't bring Heartstorm Media on the channel, have great conversations.
Yeah, man. What about bacon and cookie dough? Come on, man. Yeah, come on, man.
How about cookie dough wrapped in bacon?
Oh my! You just blew my mind. So yeah, we be missing out on all that stuff, man.
So Heartstorm, honestly, I usually go an hour, but obviously I'm just getting a ton of good questions here. Oh, and Jesse Bryan says, "Hey OGR, hey Heartstorm Media, what's going on?"
What's up, brother? What's up?
So Tony says, "OGR, I used to work out with Larry Donnell about 5 years ago when I was going to college in Troy, Alabama. He used to go to my gym, Ozark, where I worked out at the time, from time to time." That's awesome, bro. That's an awesome.
Who was Larry Darnold?
No, Larry Donnell was a former Giants tight end.
Early Eli years or mid Eli?
Not early, like mid Eli years.
Oh, so he was in between. Was he in between Shockey and Boss? Oh, I know who Larry Darnold is. Yeah, I know who Larry Darnold is. Yeah, I know who it is now. Yeah. Right. He wasn't our starting guy. He was the second tight end.
No, he ended up becoming a starter for the year.
He ended up becoming a starter for us?
He ended up being a starter for but 2015, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But yeah, that's an awesome story. And Troy, Alabama, I'm assuming Troy, Alabama is Troy.
Troy University is, yeah.
Yeah. OCM in York.
Yeah.
I'm sure Troy.
Who made my list of top Giants of all time.
And then DeMarcus Ware, also Troy. On the same team.
Yeah, that was a hell of a combination right there. Both played the league for 10 whole years, racking up sacks.
All right. I don't know why I keep feeling I need to answer this, but Karen says, one more last damn question. Have you ever seen a ghost experience? All right. I'll tell you my ghost experience. So my grandfather lived in an older house. It's about a little bit over 100 years old. I used to sleep over there, and I'm sitting there and I'm brushing my teeth. And I look over. All of a sudden, I just see a silhouette, a black silhouette just standing in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it takes off into my grandfather's room. I was afraid to go look at it, but I went and chased and nothing was there. So that's my ghost story. Heartstorm, if you got a ghost story, you're more than welcome. If you're more than welcome.
Look, I got drunken pee stories, but I got no ghost stories, man.
All right, there's your ghost story.
Yeah.
Tony said, okay. Oh, Clocks has one too. For Heartstorm Media, let him read. Bro, your choice. I give you Mahomes at $50 million a year with your average offensive line, or I give you Larry Allen, Quentin Nelson, Anthony Munoz at $17 million a year with your average quarterback. Who you got? That's actually interesting. So you're saying basically the best offensive line in history with Jeff George versus Patrick Mahomes with a bunch of money. How many, let me say this. How many average quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl? Jeff Hostetler, Mark Rippon, Nick Foles. I can honestly
think of a lot of, I'm gonna tell you this.
Average quarterbacks that have won.
Think of a lot of average quarterbacks that have been to the Super Bowl. Rex Grossman, there's a lot of quarterbacks that have been.
There's some that have won as well.
I have to take that high money guy. Now this is a hard question. I'm gonna do a video on this. It's a really hard question because the high money guys haven't often won Super Bowls once they were the high money guys. Hard to build a team around that. Aaron Rodgers won before he got the huge contract. Patrick Mahomes won before he got the huge contract. A lot of guys win before they get the huge. Eli Manning won before he got the huge contract. So, but I take my chances with the best quarterback. I'll take the chance with the best quarterback, man, and with a medium, decent offensive line, $50 million. So
I'm gonna let you answer this one. Tony Review says, how many QBs have actually won a Super Bowl? I feel like if there's a win a Super Bowl, you're in the conversation for a Hall of Fame.
That's that. I mean, you at least in the conversation. If you win two, it shouldn't be a conversation unless you do a Nick Foles. If you got a Nick Foles career, right, and then you luck up on a Super Bowl. Now he did have to go win it, but I mean, it was birthed to him to go win, right? He didn't have to work his way up to that Super Bowl and then go win it. Then 3-4 years go down and you're just mediocre. You got a Kirk Cousins-like career. And then that was kind of like what Eli did. But I'm talking about if you got a career where you're not even a starter all the time. Because what people don't forget about Eli, you know how hard it is to be the number one guy of any franchise in New York City. We're Giants fans. We know. And if you think about the ineptitude of the Jets quarterbacks over the years, Mark Sanchez couldn't be Eli Manning. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Geno Smith couldn't be Eli Manning. Phillip Rivers couldn't be Eli Manning. Who we almost had. If Phillip Rivers, with all his arm talent and a little short release, if he was our quarterback, maybe we get one championship. Maybe. But can he handle the New York media like Eli did? No. That's worth it. It's like the Jeter. Jeter was only the best shortstop for 1.5 years of his career, where you could say he was arguably the best at his position. But he did what he did in New York City, and he showed up for work every single day. Hurt or not, he showed up for work. He answered the questions when we were losing. He answered the question when we were winning. That's worth everything to me.
And then LA Lou, to show you more of the history. Tony Review, I'll give you one. Joe Namath won a Super Bowl without throwing a TD pass.
Joe didn't throw the TD pass in the Super Bowl?
I do not believe he threw. I think the Jets scored on all running plays, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh. Well, look, I believe Joe Montana is in the Hall of Fame on lore alone. His persona, his image. You can't tell an NFL story without telling talk about Joe Namath. So, hey, maybe he's in on that.
See, I can. Just because of a stupid promise. I'm sorry. I can. I can skip over that and tell it because I'm sorry. He is under 500 for his career and has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. Like, he has no business being in the Hall of Fame. I am sorry.
No, do I believe Joe Namath is a Hall of Famer? No, but you need him to be a Hall of Famer. Because without Joe Namath, you remember about football too. If the league wouldn't have been as popular as it was around that time, if it wasn't for Joe Namath, he was the attraction. He's box office.
Yeah, he is.
So, the guy on the sideline with a fur coat, man. I mean, you gotta love Joe Willie, man. His persona is still doing it to this day.
Oh, TSR, I've always respected Jeter. That's one of the few Yankees I've actually respected. Mm-hmm. I mean, the 3 Yankees I've respected off of those World Series teams in the early to mid 90s were Paul O'Neill,
love Paul,
Bernie Williams, and Derek Jeter.
Paul O'Neill, one of the most underrated Yankees in history. That guy was solid. He
was, even though he was a better player than Trot Nixon, he was what Trot Nixon was for the Red Sox.
Yeah. If Paul O'Neill would have played his whole career with the Yankees, he would get much more press as being a Yankee. We got him from the Reds and stuff like that. So I love Paul.
So Danny Dimes will be great. Robert Smith 2.0. Shout out to you, my man. Mm-hmm. LA Lou, how many passing yards do you have in a game where we didn't win by passing TD? Interesting. I'm curious what LA Lou will say on that. No Mariano Rivera. Well, I mean, Mariano Rivera is just a given, okay? But those are the guys that came to mind. I don't know. I look for the guys that are kind of underrated. So that's just me.
Yeah.
But guys, honestly, I mean, it's usually longer than I go. I only usually go about an hour, so you've actually been the longest episode on this channel. So
hey man, I appreciate the questions, man. It's been fun, man. It's been fun to spend Friday night with you guys for real. Got nothing else. I've been on live the whole time, but phone ain't ringing.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you like A-Rod? No, I did not like A-Rod for joining Yankees. And that's gonna be my final question because I actually gotta go. I'm dying in this jersey right now. I turned off the air conditioner. I'm dying in this jersey, guys. Go longer, MH says. If I'm going longer, I got to get up and change shirts. I am not staying in this sweaty ass jersey.
Let me see if I can turn. I wonder if I could turn the chat on. Oh, I wish I could see the questions because I could answer a couple questions right there.
If you want to go to the questions right now,
if I hit chat, I just don't know if you can still see me. Can you still see me?
I can still see you right now, but if you go to YouTube,
okay, bet. If you can still see me, I'm good. I just can't see myself. See, sports reaction saying A-Rod stinks. Tony's review. I'm just happy that I caught you live, man. Appreciate you, Tony. Tony, man. Hey, go subscribe to the channel when you get a chance. Go check out Hearthstone Media. I got some great content, man.
And go check out Tony Review as well. Yeah. Awesome boxing channel. So gives a lot of insight to boxing as well. I'm going to check it out. It's raining outside, so that's fine. I can go a little bit longer if people want me to go.
It's not always about the passing in the end zone, but the ability to get your team. You know what, Tony? You are right about that. It's not always about the passing in the end zone. You're right. Because this is what I'll say about Michael Vick. I noticed this a lot about Michael Vick's career. And I noticed a lot of quarterbacks like that have a lot of numbers, but it just don't correlate to success. Michael Vick used to run a yard. You see him in the highlights. He ran another one for 50 yards. He's got 150 yards rushing this game. He wasn't good in the red zone, though, because he couldn't break all those big plays when it came down to it. So if Michael Vick ran one for 70 yards, and he didn't get in the end zone, the team was getting a field goal on some of them drives. That happens to Matt Ryan a lot. He might throw a big one to Julio Jones. Julio Jones doesn't have breakaway speed, though. So if he doesn't catch Julio Jones in the right spot and he can really take off, you stop Julio at the 30, they might not even get in the end zone. And Matt Ryan throws a bunch of interceptions in the red zone. So it's a lot of stuff like that that happens where you're right about that. You got to be able to get your team, close and then figure out a way to get into that end zone. It's not all about the pass yard and stuff like that. You like Franklin the Cleaner. Oh, man. MH. I was trying to like Franklin the Cleaner. I wish he was more aggressive. I saw some flashes in Frank. I do love his defense and his aggressiveness. The one thing I do hate about the Knicks and how we run our organization, we focus too much on what we want a guy to be and not getting the most out of what that guy is. We did that with so many players over the years. We gave up on guys when they were, too young and still development, didn't give them a chance to develop. Where if Frank Ntilikina went to the Spurs, he'd be playing the league for 10 years, being in the playoffs probably every year. If he went to the Raptors, they utilize him and use him for what he can do and not scrutinize too much on what he can't do. Think about a guy like P.J. Tucker. If P.J. Tucker was on the Knicks, he'd be playing 2 minutes a game. On the Rockets, though, they know what he can do. Every once in a while, hit a corner three, guard all 4 or 5 positions, play good defense, pass the ball to James Harden when you got it, let James Harden shoot 40 shots. Franklin Ntilikina could go play for the Rockets. But the Knicks just want him to do stuff that he's just not comfortable doing. And I just don't know if he's going to have that in him. So, as long as we want him to do what we want him to do, he may have to go.
All right, so who here wants somewhat Knicks insider information? Because I can provide this. Because my dad knows Tom Thibodeau's brother. If you guys don't know who Tom Thibodeau is, that is the obviously former Timberwolves coach for a Bulls coach. Obviously, was defensive coordinator or defensive coach for the Rockets, I believe, for the Celtics, and also for the Knicks. The dream job he wants is the Knicks job, believe it or not. That's the job he wants.
Listen, OJR, I'm going to have to interrupt you on that. First, I'm going to say Sports Reaction. I'm going to go check out your channel, and maybe you'll get an honorable mention and a badge on my next top YouTuber video. I will say this. I got a kick out of and I did a video about this a long time ago when I first started making videos. Please don't go back and look at that video. It looks terrible. When guys say stuff like, an unemployed guy is interested in this team's job. Tom Thibodeau doesn't have a coaching job. So it's great for him to say that the Knicks job is his dream job because that's the most open and readily available job.
No,
so
but
he's going to say that. Now, I'm not saying it's true.
Tom, it legit is.
But I'm not saying that's not true. I believe, who doesn't want to coach a famous franchise? But he's left the Timberwolves. I'm saying, if the Phoenix Suns job came open and they were willing to pay him $5 million, he's going to take that job.
No, well, hey, he had $6 million from the Bulls, so I mean, you're going to take a little bit more to get him. But honestly, that's what he wants. He wants to be a Knick, and I believe. You know what? The problem with people is Thibodeau is probably one of the best coaches in the NBA. It's just that hard driving style. He is old school. But you know what? If the Knicks embrace that, you guys are going to be a very good team.
Could be. I want Becky Hammond. I wanted to give Becky Hammond a shot off the Spurs bench. I hope somebody gives her an interview and gives her a chance this year. I don't think it's going to be my Knicks. I would love for it to be my Knicks to crack that seal, and I want Becky Hammond to be our coach. I mean that wholeheartedly. But I will say this: I am not a huge fan of Tom Thibodeau because when he was getting his team to the playoffs, he had the MVP in the league and the defensive player in the league. Now, did he help make them who they were? Potentially. Did he help make Joakim Noah defensive player of the year? Potentially. But he had the MVP of the league. And he had defensive player in the league. So they went to the Eastern Conference. And what'd you say?
I said, what did they get? What were they before he got there? Because Joakim Noah, I believe, was already there before Tom Thibodeau.
Maybe for a year. Derrick Rose was only in his second year. So, what was Tom Thibodeau doing before he got there? I'm just saying, since he lost that dynamic, he hasn't been successful.
He has. It's just that people haven't been willing to embrace it. You had a bunch of Timberwolves players that weren't willing to embrace what he was doing because had they
don't want to work.
Jimmy Butler was calling these guys out the whole time. Tom Thibodeau brought Jimmy Butler over for a reason. Jimmy Butler followed Tom Thibodeau for a reason.
So you're right. You're right about that.
So what I'm saying is these young players have to be willing to embrace this hard coaching because if you listen to Tom Thibodeau, he will get you where you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, if Tom Thibodeau coaches the Knicks, we're definitely a playoff team. I think if he coaches our team this year, what we got coming in right now, we're definitely at least an 8 seed. I think he's an 8 seed. He'll get us to the 7 and 8 seed. Does he get us further down the line? I don't know. But all intents and purposes, he might be our coach because you're in New York, you're going to go with the splash. Wait, Clock says Phil Simms, Doug Williams, Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson. Come on, man. That's Phil Simms, man.
Yeah.
Unless he's saying Phil Simms is just like those quarterbacks. I don't believe that at all. I think he was naming the mediocre quarterbacks who went to the Super Bowl and won. That's what I think he was saying. Brad Johnson didn't win one, though. He almost did, but he didn't.
No, he did.
Who did Brad Johnson win with?
Tampa.
No, that was Trent Dilfer.
No. Trent did it with the Ravens. He might have done it with. No, I think he did it with Tampa too.
The Ravens only won one, right? With Flacco.
No, they won 2. They won against the Giants.
They won 2. That's right. They won with Trent. You're right. Trent Dilfer was with the Bucks, but he didn't win with them. Brad Johnson. Got you. Yeah, I barely remember Brad Johnson doing anything in the game. Their defense was so awesome. And Phil Simms wasn't the average quarterback.
I just want to answer real quick. It says, OGR, thank you very much for the shout out. You didn't have to do that. My man, I always want to show support to channels on my channel, period.
I'm not kidding.
I was just here showing you support. Have a good night. You have a good night, my man, as well. Enjoy your food.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
I'm not getting my hopes up. Dolan stinks. Noah says.
Yeah, Dolan stinks, man. Dolan. I was trying to have some type of faith in him. OG, are you a basketball guy? What is your team?
Celtics.
Oh, okay. I got respect for the Celtics. Never really hated the Celtics. I love.
Yeah, most fans really never really hate the Celtics because like when the Knicks were good, the Celtics weren't, and when the Celtics were good, the Knicks weren't. So there's no like dynamic.
Yeah, the Celtics, they should be our rival, but there never was. Our rival was the Heat for a while. Our rival was the Bulls for a while. Who else do we have? Really the Heat and the Bulls. Even like the Pistons were never like huge rivals.
Pacers, I guess, for a little while there too.
Oh, and the Pacers. That's right. The Pacers and Reggie Miller and that team. That was our mid-90s rival. That was our biggest mid-90s rival. Yeah. And then in the Sprewell years, it was the Heat, and that was really it. We never had any run-ins with the Celtics, not for the most part.
Yeah,
I respect
because the Celtics were an aging team, or they're just completely irrelevant. Like when Ewing and Starks and those teams were rising to prominence, the Celtics were at the end of their run.
Yeah, Bird was laying on the sideline.
At that point, had taken over, and then the Bulls obviously started going on their run.
Reggie Miller, yeah. Bird was laying down on the sideline. Bird is one of my favorite basketball players of all time. Bird is in my Mount Rushmore, and I don't know how anybody is ever going to take him off. Like, is LeBron James a better small forward than Larry Bird? Yeah.
There's actually a lot. LeBron James is better. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you look at their career numbers, I mean, LeBron James is a better player. Don't get me wrong. But again, Larry Bird, their numbers are very comparable.
No, Larry Bird was amazing. Had he not fell off his mom's roof, trying to fix her damn roof like the country boy he is, he could have played another 7 more years. But that's a lot of people thought his back injuries came from basketball. No, he fell off his mom's roof, trying to fix her roof. That's how he hurt his back. I was a huge Larry Bird fan. I love Larry Bird. I will tell you this about Larry Bird. Why I respect the hell out of Larry Bird. So now this is gonna be like a racial thing. I'm gonna tell you why I respect the hell out of Larry Bird. For 5 years running, Larry Bird was the best player in the league. He was dogging everybody that got in front of him. Definitely for 2 hands down, he was the best player in the league, right? So the way I looked at it was this. And NBA is a predominantly black league, right? Even back then, I mean, it was a lot more white guys playing back then than it is now, but still. So I know that when Larry Bird went up against these guys, they were saying, "Oh, I ain't gonna let that white boy dog me," and he was still dogging them. That's why I respect Larry Bird, because I know everybody said, "Oh man, I didn't let that white boy dog me." No, he was cooking him, and telling him he was gonna cook him. I watched the highlight of Larry Bird. They were down 2 in the game, and he went to the sideline. I think they were playing against Philly. He went to the sideline and told the bench, he broke from the timeout early, walked to the sideline and said, "I'm gonna catch the ball right here, and I'm going to hit this 3, and it's going to be game." And he did it.
Yeah.
And he said, "Man, that white boy cold."
Two of my favorite guys, or two of my favorites. Glad to see you guys working together.
The entertainer, talking sports.
Stand up, chat. I know he's got to go because they're going to be talking Giants very soon. That's usually why people ask me, well, OGR, why don't you go longer? Why don't you go longer? Well, there's the reason.
Yeah, because I know entertainer, you probably got a live coming up or something like that. Yeah. I missed his live. I was actually supposed to be on with them talking movies. Entertainer now has the entertainer talking movies now.
Yes.
So I'm super excited about that. I am super excited about that. I want to tell you guys, man, from the bottom of my heart, man, getting a bit interact with the Giants fandom and the Giants community, man. I said it in one of my videos. A lot of us, we can talk sports all day, but we have a lot of stuff in common. So it's like once one topic pops up, next thing you know, we're talking about other stuff, and that's great. So it's not just like, like this is like a meeting of the minds. We're coming together and we're just like vibing with each other. But to be able to do this from all over, Harrison Jolly's in like New Zealand, and you guys are in New York. I'm in Atlanta, and you got guys all over. LA Lou, I don't know if LA Lou was just planted or if he actually lives in LA. But
I think he does live in LA.
I think that's so awesome, man.
Next week, would love to have you on. I don't know if he's referring to me or you.
All right, Chris. I know you're busy making 5 videos today. Appreciate it, and hey, I would love to be on the show if I get a chance.
Oh, and I encourage you. The thing that we were talking about before we got on, the whole Deshaun Jackson, Malcolm Jenkins thing, he responded to that, which honestly I'm literally surprised by. I was literally shocked that he did it because in a way, I'm not gonna lie to you, being white, it's tough to talk about that stuff. It really is, because you don't want to say the wrong thing, and then people come barreling at you. But he did a great job, and I encourage you to watch it. Yeah,
it is very, man. Look, man, race is one of the hardest things to talk about. Racial issues is one of the hardest things to talk about in this world. Period, man. I think it's always been like that. Race. They say when you're at the bar, you don't talk politics or religion. Nobody ever says you don't talk politics and religion and race, because nobody even wants to say that. That's how tough it is to talk about race and to bring those. But when you got, people that can at least hear, somebody's point of view, and everybody's not good at getting their point of view across. That's why some people watch shows and some people make shows.
Yep, absolutely.
Some people can make great comments, but would they be able to make great videos? Maybe not. That's like, I'm not an actor. I can be me, but I couldn't act like somebody else. So exactly. I have to watch somebody else act.
And what we also have the tendency to do is, so I'm going to use this for instance. So we were in an electrical room, and one of the female plumber came in, and we just happened to get on the subject. And we happened to get on the subject, and she's just talking about stuff. And there's a lot of things that I disagreed about with what she was talking about. But the overall message that she was trying to convey, I'm like, I can get behind what you're saying. So in this day and age, we have a tendency to say, oh, well, he said that. Okay, but what was his overall message? Was it relatively correct? All right. Yeah, I get behind that. So, and I think a lot of people have a tendency to harp on what one person says instead of listening to the entire message. Like, shut off your video early and say, oh, you said da 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 da. But what they don't realize is the next 2 minutes after that, you explain that away.
Yeah. I'm actually, I'm telling you, I got so many videos playing. I'm gonna do a trick, like a shock video, like kind of like tricking that. I'm gonna start it off with a certain topic and a certain title, but it's gonna go like in the real direction I'm trying to go in. Like I was explaining to you, part of, I'm gonna give you one quick analogy, guys, and I'm gonna let y'all go to the eventually. But the questions are coming in, guys are in the chat, so I'm gonna give you guys a quick analogy for anybody's here. Throw this the other day. If you're walking down the street, right? Say I'm walking down the street and a dog bites me. And then I come and say, hey, man, OGR, man, this dog just bit me. And you say, oh, well, you must have been doing something because I heard that dogs only bite people when they're threatened or if you're attacking them. And I'm saying, well, nah, man, I was just walking down the street and the dog bit me. And he said, well, I read somewhere that dogs just don't attack unless you're threatening them or if you did something to them. And I say, well, have you ever been bit by a dog before? And you say, no. Well, how can you tell me, based on something you heard and something you read, that dogs don't bite people? Because I know this dog bit me. Now, mind you, for all logic, you're probably right. Dogs probably don't usually bite people. But maybe the dog had rabies. You don't know that. Maybe the dog doesn't like humans. Because you know how some people are walking their dog and they say, hey, don't pet my dog don't like people. Or don't bring your dog around my dog don't like other dogs. It's some people that are out here that kind of act like dogs sometimes, and that happens. So the belief that couldn't happen is where we have a problem. For people that say, well, you must have been doing something wrong. But like, no, you don't believe that a person could have possibly just did something bad to me? Yeah. You don't think people do bad stuff all the time?
It happens every day. Like, you can equate it to somebody bullying somebody in school.
Yeah. People say, my child would never do that.
And then
yes, your child is doing that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I was bullied in school. I never understood why I was bullied in school. Mm-hmm. To this day, I couldn't tell you why I was bullied in school. Some people thought it was weak and it was fun to do. Now, eventually I grew out of it and whatnot. But, at the end of the day, it's just it's the same thing. People just have to be able to wrap around their head around people and just, stop judging them on the first thing they say. Because, I was a perfect example. I was in McDonald's drive-thru yesterday. Dude runs up and goes, my windows are down. It's hot out, whatever. I just paid. And he goes, Black Lives Matter. Like he was going to get a response out of me. Mm-hmm. I said, yeah, you're right. He goes, what do you mean you're right? I said, you're a human being, right? He goes, yeah. So there you go. I said, when somebody says Black Lives Matter, human beings matter. So if somebody's doing something to another human being that is wrong, why wouldn't me as a human being stand up for them? Because that's what I honestly think the message should change to. Human beings matter. I mean, I'm not saying, at that point, that's what I think. I think it conveys the message because messages of unity have a tendency to spread better than messages of individuality. Even though, you're just saying it's, a color of somebody's skin. But the messages of individuality don't resonate as well as human beings matter. Because if we said police brutality, human beings matter, and these people are being oppressed, why are they being oppressed? And we started going into the issues, I think, and a message of unity would get across a lot better. Because right now, what's going on in the world, I believe the Black Lives Matter movement is being quelled for other things, and other people with other agendas are coming in and stealing the movement away from where it was actually began when George Floyd actually died.
It is a lot of the fact that it seems to be adversity to it. That's the thing that's weird. Because it's like, all right, so I'm going to give you another analogy. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I tell people that know me personally, I'm the king of the analogy. So I'm going to give you a great analogy. When Breast Cancer Awareness Month comes up, nobody says, oh, well, what about ovarian cancer? Or what about prostate cancer? The reason why breast cancer awareness was enacted in 1985 was because it was a lot of people in America who were affected by it, but the rest of the American totality didn't realize it was a huge problem. So they said, we have to raise awareness for this issue because it's harming people and people are dying from it. But most of society doesn't know that the problem exists because they're either cut off, it's not affecting them. So because people weren't like, look, half the country don't have breasts, period. So they're not thinking about it. Then it's the people that was like, well, I don't know anybody who has it. I don't know anybody that's happened to. It's not a problem. They had to raise awareness for it to get funding, to get help. So what the Black Lives Matter movement is, and then the ribbon was enacted. Estee Lauder ran that campaign to start the ribbon as their official signal. Their ribbon is like the Black Lives Matter hashtag. their ribbon shows anybody a reminder of, oh, you know what, man, did I ever donate to that? Man, have I ever looked into that? Have I ever shared a post about breast cancer awareness? Have I gotten checked myself? Have I asked my sister to get checked? You know, it reminds us of something that we needed to be reminded about, because in a whole, we were losing that battle. So the Black Lives Matter movement should be about the awareness, because we know all lives matter, but it's a certain part of society that doesn't realize that our lives matter because they don't treat us like our lives matter. So we're trying to raise that awareness to the rest of society to say, we need your help, because we can't just keep screaming Black Lives Matter at each other. We're not getting anywhere. It's like, I'm telling my brother, Black Lives Matter, brother. That's getting us nowhere. We need people who don't realize that we need help to say it with us. So then all lives can matter, because all lives can't matter if every other life was here and the Black lives are here. All lives can't matter because we're not here. So now once you help us come up, we can meet in the middle, and then we can come together and say, yes, all lives matter, because police brutality is affecting everybody. That shouldn't affect anybody. But right now it's disparagingly affecting us as Black people. So
and I don't disagree with that, but I mean, I'm going to take this conversation to another place, because a lot of people, I'm not trying to counteract, but there's a lot of, I shouldn't even say stereotypes. There's just a lot of things that in the Black community that, you know, seem to be, you guys, I shouldn't say you guys, because that's not right. Yeah, you're a strong, because you're a strong-willed Black person, and you go out there and you show up and you show out and you let it be known, and you try and talk about it. But the thing that kind of bothers me is there's a lot of people, like, a lot of people will say, hey, well, you don't know, you've never been, you don't know, you don't never been, you know, this, that, and the other thing. But what I say, what I look at it as, I say, because in society, I see a ton of strong Black people. Stop, you know, a lot of, it seems like you guys put yourselves down when you don't need to be down. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of like negative notations to say, hey, you know, we've lived in this hood for 10, 20 years. Well, why is that? Is it because of the systematic oppression, or is something that's going on in your life? Is it because you don't have the nuclear family?
No, I will tell you,
because the success rate of the Black nuclear family prior to the Jim Crow era, the nuclear family was high, and when the welfare state became coming in, you saw the down drop in the nuclear family in the Black community, and you have a higher single parent rate than most any other race, even though you only make up 13% of the population. And some of these factors also need to be addressed in the community themselves, because yes, one of it, people should unify with you and address these messages. I'm not disagreeing with that, but also people have to educate themselves on the laws and what they're doing, and educate themselves as well. Because I'll tie this into another point today where, what's his face there? The former Eagles safety, now Saint safety.
Malcolm Jenkins?
Malcolm Jenkins, yes.
Okay, all right.
We talked about Malcolm Jenkins' message, and I was just like, this is the perfect time to bring, unity and Jewish people into it while still conveying the Black Lives Matter message. And he completely botched it. And I'm not saying he is a hypocrite, but it makes him look like one. And that takes away from the entire movement. I'll tell you,
it's unfortunate because, I don't speak for all Black people. I'm not all Black people. We're all, everybody has different opinions and different ways to go about their life. It's unfortunate with somebody who is Black, has a platform, and their mindset is on the smaller scale, but they have the larger scale platform. That's unfortunate when that happens. That's unfortunate when that happens in a white situation. Absolutely. Like, if you have, I don't know, Jeff Sessions on TV every day, and he's spouting things out there, and it's seeming like that's coming from the white community, but his mindset is here, that's not good, because he's projecting the views that don't match society in a whole. So we got a lot of brothers out there that shouldn't have a megaphone. Like real talk. There's a lot of brothers out there that shouldn't have a megaphone. Now, like Kanye West shouldn't always have a megaphone. He says some good things at times, but he shouldn't always have a megaphone. The fact that he has a megaphone, everything he says is like overly scrutinized or overly publicized. That man that's a whole nother story. But what you're saying about, dealing with things that are systemic in the Black community, there are people trying to work on things in the Black community that need to be dealt with in the Black community to try to help the Black community in a whole. That's true.
I'm going to let you continue, but I just want to interject. I just want to interject for 1 second.
Yeah.
There's certain people I respect everybody's opinion, but there's some opinions that resonate more with me. And, I noticed that Candace Owens doesn't speak for everybody, but I feel like she gets a bad rap. I get it, but like certain says not everything resonates with me. Brandon Tatum resonates with me, but somebody like Amazing Lucas also resonates with me. I'm just using some of their messages that they deliver and the way they deliver. I know they're not the most popular people, and sometimes they go way far over right and they say completely stupid things. But at the end of the day, a lot of what they say does resonate with me.
I mean, Candace Owens is an intelligent woman who is very well read. My problem is with her perspectives based on what she believes to be the things that happen in a society that she doesn't delve in.
Yeah.
So she has her beliefs about the Black community as a whole. She ain't there. She's not in these hoods. She's not in these neighborhoods. She doesn't circle in those areas. So she has a belief of what she thinks it is. And that sometimes, coincides with the stereotypes that we're trying to break. Now, mind you, I know a lot of Black people who do a lot of stuff that I definitely wouldn't agree with. And if we were Facebook friends, you would see, because I call them out all the time. I have no problem with telling people in general, let's try to be better people. Now, if I'm to look at my Black brothers and sisters, hey, let's try to be better people and not feed into the stereotypes. Like in my family, we raise fathers. You've seen my videos before. You've seen my family and my photographs. Ain't no kids in my family walking around without no dad. 3 of my cousins are married. My sister's married. 5 of my cousins married. My sister's married. All of my aunts and uncles are married. The problem is a lot of people, because the way society is set up, they don't see those types of families. My family is prospering. My family is a Black family that's winning and successful. We're all successful. We own businesses. We own property. We own homes. We go on great large vacations and have parties and shindigs. We had 75 people in our house for Thanksgiving 2 years ago. So people don't get to see that. There's a lot of us like that out there. It's just like, it's good people everywhere. But a lot of times we only see the bad because that's what sells. Negativity sells.
And that's exactly what sells. And, and that's why I really wish the news would just spin more positive things and point these things out and not let negative stereotypes. Because at the end of the day, you judge people on their merit and who they are, and not just simply, just say, okay, you're into this. That's your stereotype. No.
Yep.
Now, if they show you that stereotype, okay, that's a different thing. But get to know the person first.
I'm gonna give you 2 prime examples on why things are messed up just in this country, period. Right? Okay, so Black man graduates from college. You think that's gonna make the news? No. Black man holds up a liquor store. That's gonna make the news. White person offers me a promotion. You think that's gonna make the news? No. White person calls the cops on me for standing outside doing nothing. That's gonna make the news. So now when Black people see the white person calling the cops on me for standing outside doing nothing, white people are racist. When white people only see Black people going to jail and committing crimes, Black people are criminals. I can't even blame somebody if that's being beat into your head every single day. It's hard to get somebody like we're talking now to say we cannot agree on whether I like Candace Owens or not. Tell me you're a racist. Yeah. You know what I mean? We can have a disagreement. That doesn't mean the only thing we could probably agree on or disagree on is whether we hate the Cowboys or not. So unfortunately, it's not enough of us having these conversations with enough of these people who I know don't all think the same listening. So I can come to you, listen to you, You could come to me and listen to me, and we could have it in an open forum. If we could do that every day, and that's being publicized, we'd be a whole lot better in society. Because I worked in a hotel for about 7 years. One thing I learned working in a hotel, I worked with a lot of business, corporate clientele and stuff like that. A lot of us are a lot more alike than a lot of us know. A lot of us are getting cheated on by our wives. A lot of wives are cheating on the husbands. A lot of husbands cheating on the wives. A lot of people getting drunk to pass away their misery. A lot of people drinking at the bar because they don't want to go home. A lot of people got problems with their kids who are squandering their inheritance. A lot of people, kids are not living up to their potential. A lot of people is happy and proud that their kids graduated. And these people are all different tax brackets, different ways of life, walks of life, different colors, different shades, different colors. Really, real talk. We all the same. We all want the same thing.
Yeah, we do.
And we would be great if we were all getting the same.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, we all want the American dream, or we're all chasing the American dream. Yeah. We want that house in the suburbs with the white picket fence, with our hot model wife and our 2 kids. And maybe 2 cars in the driveway. That was my dream. Maybe your dream is different, but at the end of the day,
I'm reading Karen. Karen says some blacks act immature. Karen, some people act immature.
Period.
So I don't know what you mean by immature, but some people act immature, period. I mean,
I think he's meant some blacks. I literally meant.
No, he changed it. He corrected. Oh, he did it? Said some black. Yeah. Oh, that's Karan. I'm sorry, I called you Karen. Karan. Yeah. So, I mean, some people act immature. I've had to dress down some of my own people for acting immature. I've had to dress down some white kids for acting immature. Unfortunately, when grown people act immature, that's the problem.
Absolutely.
So, it's grown people that act immature. That's the problem. That comment was mildly immature because that comment was just rooted on, I don't know.
Okay. I didn't realize it was Karen. I think I've been calling him Karen.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you cleared that up. But I'm gonna say for crime, I'm gonna say this. A lot of times I have to let our people know what you think is so cool. That's not the move. That's not you trying to be hood or whatever and act out. White boys and girls do that same thing. There's a lot of things that people do when their parents not around that they parents I've seen people. They parents think they angels. They not. They're not. When I was in South Carolina, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I'm gonna let you guys go. We've been on for 2 hours. Let me tell you a quick story. My family went to South Carolina, right? We rented a private home, but the private home was connected. It was a 2-part home. So our home had 27 rooms. The other home had 27 rooms. We had our own. Now we went during Myrtle Beach during this recent pandemic. So it was we were just coming out of quarantine. So we didn't want to do anything around other people. We were in our own home. We had our own private jacuzzi, own private pool, everything. We went to the beach. We spaced ourselves out, everything like that. If you go to one of my videos, my Myrtle Beach video, you'll see the home and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay. So we were there for 2 days, had no problem, no incident, no nothing. Group of high school kids, their mom rented them the second half to celebrate their graduation because they didn't get a chance to have a graduation. So they came in. The first night they got there, the police got called in for a noise complaint. They were throwing chairs in the pool. It was 1 black kid in the group, and it was 2 biracial kids in the group. All the rest of the kids was white. It was easy, about 25 of them. They were throwing chairs in the pool. They were doing this. They were playing the music all loud. They were doing everything. So the cops got called to the scene. So initially, when the cops were walking up, because they're walking up to our pool, and our pool was separated by a gate, they came directly to our side. But they realized that we had turned our music down. We turned our music down at 9 o'clock because we were being respectful of the neighbors. So when they realized where the noise was coming from, they went to the kids. They went to the kids and they were basically telling them, hey, calm down, whatever. They let them hide their liquor that they were underage drinking, which probably wouldn't have happened if they would have found our kids, our young black kids underage drinking. I'm not going to lie. They let them hide their liquor. They were underage drinking, whatever the case would be. But the kids caused the complaint. There were some young kids being immature. I'm pretty sure that mom who rented that place for those kids thought all of those kids were like the sweetest angels in the world. They were wilding out over there. They came and asked us, do we know we can get some weed from and all that. We wasn't smoking weed. They wanted to know if we could get some. I'm like, we're not giving you teenagers. We're not giving you guys weed. You're crazy. So what I'm saying is, it's not always a black or white thing, but it could easily be a white thing and not a black thing.
Yeah, I know. I don't disagree with that.
So that was my South Carolina rugby experience. And, we had some more instances with the kids later on where they were like causing problems. We had to kind of check them a couple of times to, let them know, like, listen, y'all kind of wilding out and, respect our privacy, respect our space. We respect y'all. But it was an issue coming from like their side, but we chalked it up as they're young. They're young kids, man. So
yeah. No, honestly, I appreciate you having this conversation with me. It's not an easy conversation to have, and I'm glad we had a chance to do it. And I'm glad we actually had an example of what an adult conversation actually looks like when you're having a conversation about this, and seeing both sides of it and where we come from. Because at the end of the day, we all have different experiences. He's from Atlanta. Yeah. I'm from the Northeast.
I'm from North New Jersey.
Oh, you're North.
From the hood.
Well, you've driven
in Atlanta now. I'm from North New Jersey.
Yeah, but anyways, North New Jersey is not exactly the Northeast either. It's considered.
No, I'm from Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, Newark, New Jersey.
Yes, I'm from Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, all right.
That connects directly to NYC.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
But regardless, right now you reside in Atlanta, and it's just
I live in Atlanta. I get to see some different stuff.
But we're exposed to different worlds. But at the end of the day, we can feel both each other out and just have an honest conversation without somebody getting upset or claiming that somebody is prejudiced or racist or bigoted. Mm-hmm. And this is what an adult conversation looks like. And I'm glad that you have it. I mean, honestly, it's just a good feeling to have, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Listen, if I was in New York right now, we'd be having some beers, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But anyways, guys, we've been going for 2 hours. I didn't even expect to go for 2 hours. And I appreciate you having me on the channel. Why don't you close this out, my man?
Hey, listen, go check out Hearthstone Media, man. I got some funny stuff there. Really appreciate you guys. Karan, man, appreciate your comments. Appreciate you sticking with us this long. Really, really mean that. A lot of guys in the chat, Harrison Jolly. Thanks, OGR, for having me on. And this was a great topic. We said we were going to talk about a lot of stuff. We talked about a lot of stuff. Tyreek Hill at Edelman, Tyreek Hill. Julio Jones is no-go for me. I'm not a huge fan of Julio Jones, all the talent in the world, but he doesn't really produce anything for me except for catches. So now I answer the last question that you had, and hey, we out.
All right, and real quick, people are asking about the corners. This is literally going to be the last thing. So if Baker gets cut, expect the Giants to sign a veteran QB or Love or Bale or compete for a CB2. We have plenty of young corners that can compete for that second position. I don't see us signing a veteran corner. That may be too expensive. So that's one. And then also, what happens with Baker's contract? Do the Giants have saved some money if he gets convicted? I don't know the language in the contract, so I would not know. I would assume so. I mean, most of those things are written to those contracts now. So yes, I do believe the Giants would save a little bit of money if Baker goes to prison. But again, innocent until proven guilty. We've heard this case back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I haven't seen any. We haven't had a chance to look at it at all because all this stuff is broke just before we went live. So, anyway, guys, I appreciate you. It's been OGR, and I'll catch you on the next vid.